understood. Mark, thank you very much for your time. Yes, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Teko, and thank you, Fred, for the introduction. I appreciate it. My name is Marc Francois. I'm a lead instrumentation engineer working for Anglo Platinum. For those that don't know, Anglo Platinum is a mining company which mines platinum group metals. We have operations in South Africa, and we also have one operation in Zimbabwe. As I say, I'm responsible for CNR projects within Anglo Platinum. That includes, from feasibility study, design, testing, implementation, right up to optimization. That also includes the CNR portion of larger projects, greenfield projects, and that as well. What I'm going to take you through is sort of my personal experience with COMOS, or why we implemented COMOS within Anglo Platinum. I'll start off, why we looked at COMOS in the first place, the COMOS journey to date within Anglo Platinum, and then some of the challenges and benefits we've seen using the actual product, and what we plan to do with COMOS in the future. Why did we need COMOS, and why did we look for an integrated platform? I think as Fred alluded earlier, information specific in the project environment was stored in various packages. Some of it, a lot of it, we all engineers, was in Excel. Most of our drawings was done in AutoCAD. Some network drawings and that were done in Visio. We had some process description, functional specifications done in Word. We used a product called InTools for instrumentation data. And there was little integration between these various packages and between the disciplines on the project. So there was a lot of duplications, errors kept creeping in. We spent many hours verifying data between the various disciplines, making sure that if piping changes were made, the appropriate instrumentation was changed, and that all took time. And then, information wasn't always consistent. Like I said before, change would be made in the process world, which wasn't filtered down to the instrumentation and was only found out later, which obviously cost time and money. It was also difficult to extract data. What we used to do in the past, as Fred said, we would, once a project was finished, we'd convert all the AutoCAD drawings and Visio drawings and Excel spreadsheets into PDFs and load them into a document management system. And often these PDFs are not searchable, so to find the latest drawing or the specific information you're looking for takes time. We also used to store it per project, so unless you worked on the project or knew which project covered a certain section of plant, it was very difficult to find the latest as-built drawings. In fact, we've often put project data into our document management system, and then the project wasn't implemented for whatever reason, and the documents are then in the document management system and used as built drawings. And then one of my biggest problems and one of the biggest concerns is that once a project is finished, nobody ever updates the documentation again. Changes are made on site, minor changes, major changes, and the documentation is not updated. So when we want to start a new project on the sites, we spend a lot of money going to make sure that the latest document is as built, and that obviously wastes time and money. So we were looking at the integrated package that we could better manage all of these issues, and all of our sites use the Siemens PCS7 control system, except our precious metal refinery. But COMOS was probably an obvious choice and a good fit for what we were looking for. Sorry, I'm go to the next slide. Okay, so our first implementation was at our base metal refinery. It coincided with a control system replacement at our base metal refinery. We had an old Apex system that was actually brought out by Siemens, and the natural migration path from Apex was to PCS, Siemens PCS7. So we started implementing COMOS there for that project, but that was just limited to control information, instrumentation information. So we did PFDs, PNRDs, loop drawings in COMOS for that project. And it was actually a direct result of an incident that happened at the base metal refinery. We had a fatality there, which was caused by incorrect documentation. So there was a big drive to get the documentation up to date, and that's when we started implementing COMOS at our base metal refinery. Since then, we've done a number of projects in Anglo Platinum on COMOS. Our Mogalakwena South concentrator had a very similar exercise where we migrated the Rockwell system to Siemens, and at the same time we used COMOS for the instrumentation and PNRDs and PFDs. Polokwane smelter, there's a SO2 abatement project that was done in COMOS. Unki smelter was done in COMOS, which was a greenfield project. Waterfall smelter, we're currently building a new slag cleaning furnace that's being done in COMOS. ACP, there's quite a lot of optimization and upgrades being done at ACP, and all the PNRDs and data is being converted to COMOS. Mogalakwena North, we just completed converting all the PNRDs into COMOS. And then we've got a small plant, a test plant that we're also doing in COMOS at the moment. Okay, as I said before, the first implementation was just limited to piping, IO list, instrument data, etc. In the later projects, we started implementing electrical information, motor list, single line diagrams, MCC bucket drawings, etc. And on the later projects, we started actually including some of the piping information as well. This is just a graphic picture of where we are at what we look at, going into the future. I'm sure some of you have seen this drawing before, but like I said, we've implemented PNRDs in COMOS quite successfully. We've done most of all our instrumentation in COMOS. We started doing some of our electrical in COMOS. We've done some integration to the PCS7 system. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But we still got quite a long way to go. And a lot of our projects have sort of come to an end, and we are moving to the operational phase where we implementing the COMOS database on site, and that comes with a whole lot of issues and things you need to look out for, but I'll also chat about that a bit later. This is just another representation of what we've used within COMOS. So we've done process design, we've done PNRDs, PFDs in COMOS. We've done basic engineering, especially on the instrumentation electrical side. We've done some detailed engineering. We're looking to use COMOS to assist us with commissioning, to create all our commissioning test certificates, to interface to simulation packages like Simit, so we can better test our software and designs up front before we go to site. Like I said, we're also moving some of our databases to operations, where we'll look at how to use COMOS within the operational environment. And modernization, I'll come to that later as well. Okay, some of the challenges we've experienced using COMOS. Like with any other package, it's quite a big comprehensive package, so there's obviously quite a steep learning curve, especially with the first couple of projects we implemented. And also what we found is we needed to create certain standards and symbols and that within COMOS that weren't there. And that obviously caused some delays and With numerous projects running concurrently, it's quite a task making sure that the symbols and changes made all align. We also found some customization is required, even between sites. Things like pipeline numbering, wire numbering differs from site to site, so there is quite a lot of customization required. We also had issues where the COMOS workflow doesn't always follow the way the project workflow is done. COMOS workflow basically goes from PFD, PNIDs. Once you've got your instruments on your PNIDs, you can create data sheets for them, do the loop drawings, and create an IO list. But for example, if you're in a project feasibility study, you want the IO list up front without necessarily doing all the loop drawings or data sheets in detail, so that you can get costing for the project. It's not saying that it can't be done, but it's just something you need to look out for. When we first implemented COMOS, COMOS was released on using a database called the CDB, the classical database, and they've subsequently upgraded to an industrial database, which is a far better, more integrated, intelligent database, which means we now need to convert some of our older databases from the CDB to the IDB, especially if we want a common standard going forward. The conversion, unfortunately, is not straightforward and does require time and costs. So we've got 3 databases that we need to move from CDB to IDB. You also need a strategy. Once you've completed a project, you need a strategy of how to incorporate that project into the as-built COMOS library, how to maintain that library going forward. It's not trivial either, and there does need manpower to be allocated to that, to manage that. What goes without saying is try and limit exporting data from COMOS into other systems. For example, Excel. We're all engineers, we like Excel, and manipulating and then trying to put that data back into COMOS, because often data is overwritten or it doesn't follow the COMOS procedures, and things can get lost. So some recommendations for those going forward with COMOS is, as far as possible, follow the recommended COMOS workflow. Limit site and project specific customization if you can. It's not always easy, especially on brownfield sites. And make sure that you use COMOS for what it is, that all the data that you work with sits in COMOS. You don't have, again, Excel spreadsheets sitting on the side, with data that differs and is not part of the COMOS database. Some of the benefits we saw using COMOS, especially after the first few projects and ironing out some of the teething issues, is it's a single platform, it's an integrated database. You definitely see benefits from that. Information only needs to be changed once. So if somebody changes the size of a motor, for example, it's updated on the PNID, on the single line diagrams, on the load list. It's not separate documents that need to be updated and aligned. There's obviously better collaborations between disciplines. Everyone has access to the latest information, and there's one version of the truth. There's also improved revision management. Revision management always be quite difficult in a project where you have multiple disciplines, multiple people working on different Excel spreadsheets and Word documents. No one quite knows which is the latest information, but COMOS handles that quite well. Yes, for Greenfield project, we also found you can do the initial download to your control system. All your IO list, your IO allocations, your basic function charts, function blocks can be created automatically, and that saves quite a lot of time. One of the things I am looking into is to ensure that sites keep their documentation up to date is on a routine basis, is to compare the information from the control system with the information in COMOS. So if all of a sudden a flow meter or something appears in the control system and is not in the COMOS database, you can go back, say, the documentation for that wasn't properly completed. The future of COMOS in Anglo Platinum, like I said before, we want to use COMOS to assist us in our commissioning by creating test certificates and interfacing to simulation packages like Simit. We're currently testing, which Raymond might discuss, is putting our databases on a cloud service such as Azure, so that all the stakeholders can access the latest version. Currently, our databases either sit with the engineering company doing the project or on site, which makes it difficult to access the COMOS database, which kind of defeats the purpose. Also, hosting it on the cloud will allow us to better utilize the licenses we've purchased for COMOS. We're also looking at integrating COMOS with other systems like 3D models. We're doing quite a lot of 3D scans on our sites, so interfacing it to those, our plant maintenance system, our plant control system, our data historians, Simit, etc. Sorry, have I run out of time? And yes, in future we want to use COMOS for all our documentation. That includes Word documents, process descriptions, etc. So there's one source of information. And to implement workflows for day-to-day plant changes, so that approval of changes on site and that can be automated. We're also looking into migrating to a full digital twin, but I'm sure Frank and that will discuss that in their presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marc. I hope I'm audible to everybody. But yes, what is exciting is to see that there was a real reason why COMOS ended up being implemented at Anglo, and it was due to a safety incident that happened at BMR. And we are quite excited that although it's taken 10 years to get where we are, to do just 3 blocks on your diagram, let's see. I mean, this is one of those things. Let's see how quickly we can get to the top right of our COMOS progress without taking 10 years. Can we have that period? But Marc, thank you very much for the very informative session regarding the journey with COMOS and